Hi, I am back with another review of The Ladies Who List Atlanta. This is the season one reunion hosted by Tanika Ray. She comes right out and, sort of introduces all of the ladies and mentions that Kiana is not present and that Kiana has announced on social media that she has quit the show. Kira and Tiana kind of give their input on that, and Kira's just kind of like, Kiana has to do what's best for her. So, and they all wish her the best in her future endeavors. Starting right out, this reunion was very interesting to me, and not in a good way. Um, it felt kind of just all over the place a little bit at times. Also, the host, I can't say I'm a fan of this host. We will talk more about that as I get into, certain subjects. I feel like she crossed the line as a host and did not remain sort of neutral the way that I would like to see a host remain in discussing different topics. They start out sort of talking about the dinner. Robin brought up how Crystal was aware that Kiana had an issue with her prior to the dinner, but Crystal never told her. So the host, then, brought the question to Crystal, why is it that you didn't give your friend a heads up that she was going to be getting confronted? And Crystal's just basically like, moving forward, I'm just gonna mind my business. Yeah, I'm gonna just mind my business. Let Robin handle her own stuff, and I'm gonna just stay out of it. And I'm thinking, that's actually exactly what you did in the first place. That's kind of why we here where we are, and that's the issue that Robin has, because you did mind your business and didn't give her a heads up. That's exactly what we're discussing. So I thought that was interesting that is the response that Crystal gave. And I will say I didn't like that the host didn't push on that and make Crystal answer the question. And we saw that throughout the reunion, when different subjects are brought up, people are kind of beating around the bush, kind of giving, whatever answer they want to give, but are not actually directly answering the questions that they're being asked. And because of that, you don't feel like there's a whole lot of closure on different topics, because there were several times, partially because the women start bickering, that the host says, well, let's just move on. I want to move on. Let's just move on. So to me, that kind of made it for kind of a chaotic reunion, with her not pushing them to be straightforward and answer questions, and then to just flat out moving on because they kind of get off topic and get into what they want to get into. And it's kind of at this point that Robin sort of goes down this hole of, I feel like, just basically centering all her attention and energy towards Crystal and Kira, who were seated on the opposite couch from herself, Tiana, and Tiffany. All right, she, I said, kind of go down this rabbit hole of talking about how she's used to dealing with women who are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. Even though she's not a girl's girl, she does have girlfriends, because that's what happened. The host, Tanika, asked her, does she have girlfriends? And she says she does. They're just older. She just don't usually hang out and deal with 30-something-year-olds who haven't lived life and haven't experienced life. And they haven't been through nothing. They haven't birthed kids. They haven't been married, so forth and so on. And honestly, the whole time she's sitting here, kind of going through this whole how because they haven't birthed kids and they're young, that they're just sort of immature, don't know anything about life. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, so you hang around all these older women, your elders haven't told you that you need to calm down? Your elders haven't told you that maybe you need to do some maturing yourself? Because I thought it was very interesting that she sort of took this as an opportunity to take jabs at them, but she herself was not displaying the best behavior at all. Her behavior very much mimicked the behavior that I noticed and witnessed with a lot of 20-year-olds. Because it got to a point where Robin was literally on her feet, walking over to Kira, getting in Kira's face. Kind of the same way she did at that dinner when she was in Crystal's face. And then even at this reunion, her excuse for getting in Crystal's face and putting her hands on Crystal and slapping Crystal's hands, she tried to say that Crystal was in her face, which is totally not true. Crystal was literally sitting down, doing like this. And Robin got up, walked over to her, and was standing over her and in her face telling her what she better not say. So I thought it was very interesting that she tried to sort of spin that. It kind of comes about because Kira's, the subject comes up about Kira calling her an older agent. And once again, Kira is trying to explain that when she was calling her an older agent, she was not saying old in age. She was saying older in the business, more experienced agent. Kira has been trying to explain this literally since the dinner. But every time this topic comes up, Robin is not trying to hear. She absolutely refuses to hear anything that Kira has to say. And honestly, for me, it's just kind of annoying. Like, she screamed and talked over this girl this whole reunion. Every time Kira said something, she rolled her eyes. And I'm just sitting here thinking, you got all that to say about what 30-year-olds act like and how and how immature and whatever they are. And I'm thinking, you sitting here acting like a 20-year-old who cannot control themselves, who anytime they don't like what somebody has to say, your go-to is to get loud and yell over them. Which, if you don't have that kind of personality, you just gonna be quiet. Which is basically what Crystal and Kira was doing. They would just be quiet because Robin is on 10, yelling, going on and on, talking about, why are we even letting her speak? Why are we even listening to this? Because, first of all, because the show isn't just about you. People, viewers like myself and other viewers, are here to hear everyone speak. And to me, it's disrespectful to viewers who are here to watch a reunion for you to be screaming over everybody. And it's confusing. We can't hear nothing that's being said by anybody else in the room but you. I mean, which is exactly the point and why you did it. But, it's annoying and frustrating. And Tanika wasn't having very much luck of trying to reel Robin in. And, Robin mentions, when it goes back to that dinner, that when Crystal kept saying triggered, it isn't the word triggered that bothered her. It was Crystal's behavior that's bothered her. The word doesn't bother her. She said, a real friend would have, gave her a little tap on the knee and told her to calm down. But that's not what Crystal was doing. But it's funny that she says that because when she kind of lost it right here at the reunion and was doing too much, Tiana gave her a tap on the knee and tried to tell her to calm down. The lady snaps at Tiana and tells Tiana, don't touch me. So it's like, Robin, make it make sense. At some point, just admit that there really is no right or wrong with you. You feel how you feel. It really doesn't matter how you're addressed or whatever the situation is. You feel how you feel. Tiana tried to come to you in love and do that, and you flat out just snapped on her. She did exactly what you said you would have liked Crystal to have done if she was being a true friend, and it still wasn't good enough. So while she's all upset about Kira bringing up that, you know, she tried to reach out to Robin at one point in time because Robin made a post on social media that was concerning to her, and trying to, I guess, show some compassion and concern, she reached out to her because she looked like she was having a breakdown. Robin heard breakdown and lost it. And like I said, was all in Kira's face like she did Crystal before. And so, like I said, Tiana wasn't able to calm her down. But Tiffany goes, because she gets mad and just walks off. And Tiffany follows behind her and basically telling her, girl, like, you're upset by people online saying that you crazy and trying to portray you as crazy. And she's letting her know that if you don't want these things to be said about you, stop showing them crazy. Stop giving them crazy. Like, just because somebody's making you mad, saying something you don't agree with, hurting your feelings, whatever the case may be, you flipping out the way you do, though, is making people say the things that they're saying about you. And I'm not sure that Robin completely understood what Tiffany was trying to say, but I'm glad that Tiffany, you know, followed her off stage and had a real conversation with her about, you know, just kind of being cognizant of what you're putting out there. Because as offended as you are about what you're receiving, you can't be completely blind to what you're giving us on camera. And that's where people's opinions are coming from. But this is where it comes in when I was saying, you know, my issue with Tanika. So when Robin starts going off, you know, starts getting all riled up, Tanika's like, okay, Robin, calm down. You do yoga. You know how to calm down. You know how to do that. You know how to center yourself. To me, which Robin goes, you know, don't patronize me. And I agree with Robin on that. It felt like she was very much sort of trying to patronize Robin. And I don't know, something about her saying that didn't sit well with me. It was real, it sounded real, you know, sounded kind of sarcastic. And it was like, well, dang. Like, she almost reminded me of a cast member who's poking fun at somebody and not a host who's remaining neutral. And that was just one example. I feel like there were, you know, a few other instances where I feel like it felt like she was very much sort of not a fan of Robin's at all. Like, she probably wasn't a fan to begin with, but by the time Robin got done getting up in their face and yelling over everybody, Tanika looked like she was done with Robin. Anyway, there wasn't a whole lot more that she asked Robin. I guess probably because she took up so much time in the beginning doing all of that. But, you know, the situation with Kira and Robin, like, I don't know if they have some history, which I thought they said that they don't really know each other. They don't have any history. They just followed each other on social media prior to Robin unfollowing her. But she seems to really have an issue with Kira. Like I said, to the point where she wouldn't even let Kira finish what she was saying at that dinner. When once Kira realized that she offended her when she said older agents, Kira literally, you can hear Kira trying to clear it up and say, oh no, that's not what I meant. But the camera's panned away from her in that scene, and we didn't completely finish and hear what she was saying. Unless you were really listening, you probably missed that she was trying to clear that up, that that's not what she meant. But Robin at that point had went off. The same thing later on at another event where Kira wouldn't take that picture. I don't know whose event, if that was Kiana's event. Kira wouldn't take that picture with them. And then finally Kiana set them down, and she was trying to explain to her again what she meant. And then here we are in the reunion again, where she's trying to explain that that is not what she meant when she said older agents. But Robin ain't letting her finish. And to the point where Robin's like, you know, it gets to a point that she starts calling her evil and all kind of stuff. And I'm just like, why are you calling her evil and saying she's not a woman of God and all of this stuff, and she's not as religious as she's trying to portray to be? I don't know. I don't know what the issue is, but she really got an issue with her. And even Tiffany was trying to say, she was trying to reach out to you and show you compassion when you made that post. Kind of, sounding like something was wrong, but she refuses to see any positive from coming from Kira, and she totally interprets all of her actions and words as sort of ill intent. She's not giving her the benefit of the doubt on anything that she's saying, and I wonder what that's about. Like, it almost seems like it's even more deeper than just Robin's own insecurities or issues, because I'm like, why are you so quick to assume that this girl sort of has it out for you and she doesn't mean well and her intentions aren't well? I don't know. But like I said, it's just weird. So in their conversation, Kira reveals to us that when she wouldn't take that picture with Robin, people don't know, but because it wasn't aired, that Robin at the dinner when they were having that back and forth kind of whispered or said to her, asked her how much D she had to suck to get to where she is. And I'm like, what? Robin is a trip. Period, point blank. And there's just no other way to put it. Robin is a trip. Robin got a nasty attitude. A real nasty attitude. And to me, she's not as positive and light as she tries to portray to be. Not at all. And I'll be curious into next season and the following seasons, if they have them, if she's going to be able to sort of reel this in. We all know that Robin, it has been expressed over and over that she suffers from mental illness and depression. And that has come up. And they were basically talking about how Crystal didn't handle her with care, knowing her issues. And Crystal's trying to explain that she knew Robin had depression, but she did not understand to what extent it was. Like, she didn't know it was an ongoing battle and issues with her depression. I don't know whether Crystal's telling the truth or not. Tiffany says that she doesn't think that's true. But I kind of get what Crystal's saying if she's telling the truth. I mean, some people suffer from seasonal depression. Some people only suffer from depression maybe once in their whole life. And because that differs for people, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily just assume that somebody has a constant ongoing issue of dealing with depression. I wouldn't just automatically assume that. And I don't know how much they did discuss that, because I know for so much that everyone's saying that Crystal knew this and she was aware of this. Crystal looked like she for real didn't realize it was the trauma and the issues were that deep and that they were ongoing. I did notice that, when they brought it back to Robin, Robin just goes, "I find that hard to believe." And that statement alone makes me think that Crystal probably is telling the truth. When has Robin ever held her tongue and not accused and bit off somebody's head for something? Never. So with that being said, if she was constantly, sort of talking to Crystal about this, and she's 100% sure that Crystal knew this, I find it hard to believe that her only reaction would have been, "I find that hard to believe." No, she would have known where she has talked to Crystal ongoing about how much she's depressed and how it's affecting her and ongoing and this and that. And she would have let us know. She would have pinpointed times and conversations, because that's what we've seen in Robin's character. So that's why I'm believing what Crystal says when she says she really didn't completely understand until now to the extent of it. and didn't have a full grasp or understanding of the whole situation until it's being presented to her the way it is and that she's seen it playing out. So, moving on from there, they get into, you know, the conversation about Crystal making these t-shirts. It says, I think it said not easily triggered. Now, Crystal, I definitely think Crystal is very well aware that them t-shirts were inappropriate. And quite frankly, just didn't care. Like, she tried to pass it off as, sometimes I'm so business minded that I can be off color. Girl, just say what it is that you didn't care. Robin done made you mad. Y'all done fell out. Y'all not friends no more. And because that word done took off, you're using it as an opportunity to capitalize on it. Just say what it is. It is what it is. As wrong as it is, just be honest and say it. Girl, you know you was wrong for that t-shirt. So, moving on. We get to a conversation where, you know, they start talking about, you know, the mom shaming thing. And it gets to a point where Crystal sort of just breaks down and starts crying, letting them know that, you know, she does feel mom shamed often. And not that she doesn't expect women to talk about their children. It's not that at all. It's just that when women talk about their children, they can sometimes say it in a way that sort of highlights and brings to the attention that the other woman that they're speaking to doesn't have kids, so they don't get it. And you know, this whole mom shaming conversation to me is interesting, and I don't think it's as complex as everyone seems to be making it. I don't understand what the ladies are not understanding. Because when she starts crying, Tiana goes over to her and tries to comfort her. And Tiana goes, you know, would it make you feel better if, I mean, what do we need to do? Do we just not talk about kids? And I'm like, she don't get it. Nobody's asking y'all not to talk about y'all kids. And nobody's denying that it's hard to be a mother. Nobody's denying that your worries and concerns are different when someone is a mother versus when someone doesn't have kids. No one is denying that. And which is what I felt like Kiana was trying to say. And I feel like what people are failing to realize, no one expects someone not to talk about their kids. That's not the issue. It's that little slight choice in words that people choose to use that come off like a dig. And this is what I keep saying in this conversation. When they were having that conversation out there, that Robin did. Tiffany was explaining her life and why she's not thinking about Crystal. Totally understood it. There was nothing offensive about what she said. No one had an issue with what Tiffany was saying. It wasn't until Robin specifically made it a point to say, we got different worries. You know, we worried about our kids. We got more important stuff to worry about. You know, she ain't got nothing. She ain't worry about that stuff. You know, we got real issues to worry about. And it's at that point that it felt like a dig. It felt personal. And Robin even did the same thing on this reunion when she's talking about how she hangs out with older women. They've lived life, they've experienced things, they've birthed children. It's stuff like, it's comments like that, that they've been married. It's comments like that when you are on that fine line of literally explaining or talking about your life versus shaming. And it's those little instances, those little comments that Robin continues to make that very much come off as shaming. I mean, it just, for example, like, it just makes me think, like, say somebody, maybe someone is adopted, they've been through the system, so they don't have any parents, so to speak. But a friend has parents. Maybe their parent is in a nursing home, they require a lot of care, whatever the case may be. It's almost like if somebody said, I got important stuff to worry about. I got to worry about my elderly parents who rely on me to do everything for them. They're in a nursing home. I have to keep up with their appointments, with their schedules. I'm worried about them. But she don't understand that because she ain't got no parents. As true as it may be, it could be perceived as almost like a dig. Like, okay, we know she don't have parents. But why would you feel the need to say that, to bring that out, to pinpoint that about her? And that's the kind of, to me, that is the difference. And so Tiffany, while Crystal is crying, she once again breaks down and explains how, the issues that she goes through and the worries she has while she's at work about her kids who, when they're at home, are not around her, the things that she thinks about. And once again, everyone completely understands what Tiffany is saying and where Tiffany is coming from. And that's what I do appreciate about Tiffany, is that she has a way with words and a way of speaking to people and a way of really, the best way I can put it is literally, she's aware. She has awareness. And a lot of people lack awareness and even empathy for other people, because I think it kind of is an art, and you kind of just have to be a compassionate person to kind of always be aware of how your words can affect other people, even if you don't mean to, but still making it a point to be conscious of how you say things, because you might, in fact, offend somebody, even if you don't mean to. And you can tell she has that gift and that awareness to be able to do that. And then she's able to express herself and communicate in a way that she just brings it home to you without being offensive, but letting you know that she understands what you're going through, while still getting her point across, not changing her stance, but just allowing you to understand where she's coming from, while allowing you to understand that she empathizes with you and understands where you come from. Because Crystal does express at this time that she had a miscarriage. So because Tiffany herself had a miscarriage, they were almost able to sort of come to an understanding over that and see each other differently, where in the past she's expressed that she doesn't connect with Crystal, but now she is able to connect with Crystal, at least on that level, and she kind of sees a different side of her. And it's unfortunate that for all the going on and on about how she's 50 something years old and hangs out with older women, and sort of this air about her that she possesses some level of overall maturity than women younger than her that Robin continues to put out. Robin does not display those things that she continues to sort of brag about. that are positive characteristics of older women. She herself doesn't display them. She lacks grace for people. She lacks empathy. She lacks emotional maturity to even be able to express herself in a way that's non-combative and downright rude and disrespectful. It's almost like if she's offended, she's so offended and hurt by whatever has happened to her that she sees red and she loses the ability to almost reason with people and even sort of give them grace or even give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, nobody's perfect. We all have offended people. We've all have said things that have been offensive and we didn't mean it that way. But you still recognize that maybe you said what you said was wrong and it was offensive. So you have the ability to sort of take a step back and say, you know what? I was wrong. I didn't mean to do that. And you feel bad because you don't want to unintentionally hurt someone's feelings. And I just don't see that with Robyn. And it's really kind of sad that you are 50 something years old and you haven't made it there. And I don't know, I just hope for her outside of the show, but even in her personal life, that she can sort of somehow reconcile that within herself, because as turned up as Robyn be, I don't know if this is just the show or if this is how she is in real life. But I don't understand how she's not having constant conflict with people in her real life if this is how she really is. Because she's very combative and rah-rah and in your face and hard talking and loud and all of those things that easily make somebody be like defensive. And really, you put other people in a position where I could see how somebody be like, hold on, because they was talking about Kira taking her shoes off, I guess, at that dinner. But with all the energy that you be giving, Robyn very much gives I'm ready to fight right now energy. So I can't say that I'm mad at Kira for taking her shoes off. That comes back to you being aware of what you're giving to people. You put people in a certain place with your words and your body actions and all of that easily puts somebody on the defensive. I don't know. But like I said, I hope she can get that together. And I'll be curious to see moving forward if we see any change or any difference in her behavior, or is it only going to get worse? I don't know that reality TV, because it can be really catty. I don't know how she's going to fare in this sort of environment if she can't sort of reel her emotions in. I guess we'll have to see. But finally, what I do want to say is they spent this whole season building up to this poly party only for us to get to the poly party and it to be nothing, and then for us to get to this reunion and we didn't really talk about the poly party. I don't think they talked about it at all. If I can remember, I'm not mad that we didn't talk about it because there really wasn't nothing to talk about. But I'm like, y'all really, this whole season led up to this poly party and we're not even really talking about it now. Yeah. So that ends my review of season 1's reunion of Ladies Who Listed Atlanta. See you next season.